Greetings of the day. I'm Megha Gupta, an assistant professor in Babu Banarsi Das University. Today I'll be teaching you law, justice and morality in legal method. The relationship between law and morals can be viewed through three perspectives. The first is morals as the basis of law. Now, in the early stages of the society, there was no distinction between the two as such, and all the rules originated from the common source and were sanctioned by supernatural fear. State picked up those rules important for the society and enforced those rules which are known as the law. Thus, laws and morals have a common origin, but through their development, they diverged. All laws should be moral, but all morals cannot be law because morals are very subjective in nature. There are a number of legal rules which are not based on morals. Some of them are opposed to morals. Morals do not make a person vicariously liable, whereas law does make it so. So therefore, as they developed, morals and law developed into two different branches, where morals are very subjective, but laws are a set principles or guiding rules. Now the second perspective is morals as test of law. In human life, morals occupy an important place. Greeks and Romans hold that law must conform with morals. In Roman law, it was made to conform to natural law, which was based on certain moral principles. During the Middle Ages, Christians maintained that law must conform to morals. Same was the position in 17th and 18th centuries. However, in the modern age, it is valid even if it is not in conformity with morals. Paton writes that if law lags behind popular standards, it falls into disrepute. If the legal standards are too high, there is a great difficulty of enforcement. Now the third perspective is moral as the end of law. Jurists define law in terms of justice. The aim of law is to secure justice, which is very much based on morals. The Sanskrit word dharma also implies justice. Analytical school holds that study of the end of law is beyond the domain of jurisprudence. Sociological jurists consider the study of end of law very important, as law has some purpose, that is welfare of the society. The conflicting interests of the society should be weighed and evaluated on the principle of minimum friction and waste. If people ask why they should obey the law, the answer is it is for the welfare of the society. Morals as part of law. Now in this perspective, law and morals are distinguishable, but moral is an integral part of law. Morality is secreted in the interstices of the legal system and is inseparable from it. Positivists insist that once the rule is laid down, it does not cease to be law. Professor Hart says that some shared morality is essential if any society is to survive. Moral enters the arena of law in the name of justice, equity and good conscience. Morals act as a restraint upon the power of the legislature. All human conduct and social relations cannot be regulated and governed by law alone. Many relations are left to be regulated and governed by morals. If law is to remain closer to the life of the people, it cannot ignore morals. When law fails, society and nation surrender to the morals because people often believe morals to be a more personal thing than law. Therefore, while summarizing what is law, it can be said that law is a norms of behavior. It governs the behavior of the person through different norms or laws. These norms are social in character and there is an obligation to follow them. Disobedience will result in grave consequences, and these norms are generally enforced by physical enforcement and physical force of state. Thus, the implementing authority is an institutionalized authority. However, the law cannot be defined in an exhaustive manner or described as coercive, effective and institutionalized order of social norms. Now the relationship between law and morality. Here there is a difference of opinion between Professor Hart and Devlin regarding the relationship between the two. Professor Hart states that the only purpose for which power can rightly be exercised over any citizen by the community against his will is to prevent harm to others. Since private immorality does not affect society as a whole, there is no need to prevent private actions as such, for example, homosexual behavior or prostitution. In contrast to this ideology, Lord Devlin maintained that laws should continue to support minimum morality. He says that each society has evolved certain moral institutions which form part of its way of living. For example, the institution of marriage is prevalent in all society, but monogamy is not essential to every kind of society. Society is necessarily entitled to preserve its moral notions through legal phenomena. A well-established government is necessary for the existence of society and therefore its safety against violent behavior. Professor Hart is of the opinion that particular legal system is the rule of law and does not need the minimum morality test. Like Stuart Mill, he maintains that the legal phenomena should be kept aside from private morality or immorality, thus supporting the homosexual law passed by British Parliament. Professor Fuller, in contrast to Professor Hart, as stated in the Hart-Fuller debate, believed that there is a great moral principle upon which the society is based. There are certain standards of behavior of moral principles which society requires to observe, and the breach of them endanger the cultural fabric of the society. Thus, Fuller pleads that inner morality of law and emphasizes the intersection between law as it is and law as it ought to be. Now coming to law and justice. As far as justice is concerned, the court simply administers the law of the land. They are not expected to ignore the law of the country. Hence, what judges deliver is not justice in real sense, but it is merely because judges are not expected to do what they consider to be just, but rather implement what the law of the land is. Justice is sometimes taken to be synonymous with the equivalent law, sometimes to be distinct from law and superior to it. Justice in one aspect of it is held to be consistent in conformity with the law, but it is also asserted that law must conform to justice, not the other way around. Justice Cardozo made it clear by saying that what we are seeking is not merely the justice that one receives when his rights and duties are determined by the law as it is. What we are seeking is the justice to which law in its making should conform. Justice is the reconciliation of actual behavior of an individual with the ideals of the society. Since the aspiration of ideals always involves an ethical or moral attitude, the ideals of the society, when formulated in law, cannot dispute ethics and morals. The law being moral on the substantive side has to be moral on the procedural side as well. Justice appears to be manifestly done when the procedure for its administration is fair and appeals to the natural fairness in men. Therefore, the concept of natural justice arises. Justice is based substantially on natural ideas and human values, which are common amongst all. Now, law may be different in different countries, but the concept of justice is the same. Laws are changeable, but the fundamental value of justice is universal. It is not law alone, but it is the morality, culture, and mindset of the judges which make justice appears to have been done. The judgment delivered in the by the Indian Supreme Court in contempt of the court case in Kalyan Singh, the UP Chief Minister, and Zahira Sheikh, a poor girl, was different through the contempt of law in India, even though the law for contempt of law in India is one and the same. It reflects the morality, culture and mindset of the judges. Therefore, law and morality are interwoven and intermixed. Society is not a machine which can be run by law alone. The judges have knowledge of law. Having knowledge of law devoid of morality, culture and ethics can impart justice according to law, but it is not justice in the real sense. Therefore, justice entails a mix of both morals and law. With this, we end the topic. Thank you for joining us.